Welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to take a look at just doing a simple AutoCAD. Now you can see that there is no isometric or anything that we're going to be discussing in this video. We're just going to be doing a simple AutoCAD video, and we're going to put some dimensions and things of that nature on it. So let's go ahead and break this down and get started. Okay, so one of the first things I notice here is this is a very symmetrical drawing, which means that what applies on one side will also apply on the other. Now, when we go to dimension this, we do have some redundancy here, right? So we can see that we have this 10 that's sitting over here, and we can assume that this 10, since it says two places, that it goes all the way across to both sides. And then we have here where it's at the bottom, we have it going 6. Now we could have safely assumed that the other side is 6, but on here we do have that dimension of 6. So whenever you're getting to create your dimensions on your drawings, these are some of the things you're going to have to look for, different options. Either you're going to have to tell them that both sides are like that, or you're going to have to notate that somehow, right? So we need to either put the dimension on here this way, or we need to tell them how many places to where it's safe for them to assume. One of the things that you do not want to do is anytime you're drawing something and it may be manufactured or something of that nature, you want to leave the least amount of questions as possible. All right, so that's what you should be thinking about anytime that you're dimensioning in your drawing. You don't want to have someone call you up and say, hey, what is this? Although it does happen, you know, we are human and we do make mistakes. Some of the other things that we need to look out for is that we don't do any double dimensionings, or, you know, just basically repeating the same dimension. For example, here at the bottom, we see that both of these numbers here was going to equal 70. And we should be able to deduce that the distance that goes from here to here should be 30 as well, right? Because if this is 70, the overall length here is 100. We don't have to tell them that, hey, that number is 30. They should be automatically able to figure that out. Or you're leaving them some room to play with. What this really means that if they're manufacturing to this, they're going to try their best to hold this number here and hold this number. And if there's going to be any play or they can be off on this actual part that they're creating, it's going to be along this side. So that's going to be some of your dimensioning preferences. If I wanted to make sure that they held this 30 on both sides, I could have put the dimension of 30 here and the dimension of 30 here. And when you're discussing tolerances, then that's the area that they'll have a play in, right? And what I mean by tolerance is that in reality, we know that we have a number of 40 there, but it may actually be 40 and a 1/16 of an inch or something of that nature. But all that stuff will be discussed in your title block or maybe on the drawing if you do have some tolerances on it. As far as everything else on this drawing, it should be simple and straightforward. We see we have the centers of these holes, and you can see that that center is going to be located where these two intersect, right? So you can see that there is no call out to locate the center of these. It's just simply located at where these two intersect at. We're going to go ahead and put our circle there, all right? So that should be everything that we need. I don't see anything out of the ordinary here that should trip us up. So now let's jump over to AutoCAD and start drafting. Let's go ahead and knock out some of the normal stuff we do. We go ahead and turn the grid off, which is the first thing I usually like to do. Then the next thing I'll do is I'll turn my ortho on, and this is kind of a practice of mine. I like to work with ortho on as opposed to having it off. The next thing, let's go ahead and take a look at the running O-snaps that I will be using on this drawing. So here are all the ones that I'm going to be looking at, and from here we should be ready to start drafting. Okay, so once we have all of that selected, let's start with the line command. And then I'll just click here. And what I'm doing is that I know that I'm going to go left. So I'm going to start here on the farthest side of my screen here. And I'm just going to click here. And I'm going to go this direction, a distance of 30. Then I'm going to go up a distance of 20. Scroll out a little bit. And then I should be able to pan over, right? And now we're going to use that 100 going across this direction. All right. And from this point, we're going to use our polar snaps just to help us out. If you don't feel like typing, this is one of those things that can help you out a lot. And what I mean by this is, I shouldn't say polar tracking, sorry, O-snap tracking, is what I need to do is just touch this endpoint, and then when I bring my cursor down, you'll see that it'll lock up on this point. Go ahead and do a left click here. I'm going to go back this direction, a distance of 30. I'm going to come down a height of 15, right? And this is one of those things where we can do the math on it. And I can go back and show you that on the drawing of where I got the 15, but we're going to go down 15. And then we're going to come back this direction here. I'm just going to touch this endpoint again, come down to here, do a left click here, and then we'll use the close function that's inside of the line command. All right, so this is our basic shape. From here, let's go ahead and do the chamfers on here first. All right, and the shortcut for chamfer command is just CHA. But if you are looking for these these toolbars or the actual button for it, it's located here. Now what you need to do is always get used to reading what's on the command line. Right now it's asking me to select the line, but what I want to do is that I want to define the angle on this thing, right? But I know it by two distances, and this is another thing that I'm going to explain after I do this command. So I'm going to go to distance, and the first thing I'm going to do is read what it tells me. It says 5 by 45 degrees, and once again I'm going to put the drawing up here after I do this. So I'm going to type in 5 here, hit enter, and then I'm going to type in another 5, right? And go ahead and hit enter there. Now it sets my chamfer location at 5 and 5. So from here, I'm going to say I have more than one, so I'll choose the multiple option. And then let's go ahead and do the chamfer here. Okay, so from this point, let's go ahead and take a look at it from AutoCAD, from the drawing, and then we can kind of discuss it more, because we're going to have another chamfer up here. And once I explain this concept of it, it should be real easy for you. Okay, so what are we looking at here is we see that it has a distance in front of it, and these numbers sometimes can be interchanged, but you should still be able to recognize one of them is going to have an angle on it, which is our 45 degrees, and the other one is the distance. Now keep in mind that there is a big difference from if you have something, and I kind of drew that chamfer a little wrong here. Let's go ahead and draw it over here. And let's go ahead and put it like this. So if I have a chamfer that's sitting here, it is not telling me that the distance from here to here is equal to 5. This is totally incorrect. This is one of the misconceptions that you'll run across in drafting. So if you look at this and you say, hey, that's what this means, you'll be incorrect. So just to make sure that I tell you this, that this is not correct, right? The true thing of what this is actually telling me is that, and I'm kind of drawing this a little bit bad, but hopefully you get the idea here, is that the chamfer distance goes from here, going up, and it says that this distance here going across is 5, right? And likewise, it's telling me also that here is 5. And if you've seen me do this before in some of the videos, I know I've done this a long time ago. It's kind of explained this concept here. But it's just basically telling me that both of the distances here are 5, right? Now, where the 45 comes from is if I actually have a line, and let's see if I can get this line to go straight across this direction here. It's saying that this angle here is at a 45, right? So this is at a 45. Now, this is basically brought out from a triangle. If I create a triangle, and once again, I will tell you to excuse my drawing here, but if I make a right triangle, and that's what we can assume this is, but it's a little crooked, but please forgive me for my drafting here, or my drawing, is that if this angle is set to 45, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and put 45 here. And likewise on the other side, because the total angles inside of a triangle should equal to 180, right? So that means that if that's 45, this angle happens to be 45. And just off of this same concept is that if this is 45 and this is a right triangle, then if this distance is 5, just by the geometry of it, this side has to be 5 as well. And that's the exact same concept that is happening here. It's basically saying that both of these distances are 5, right? So this is what you should be imagining when you see this chamfer, is that this number here is set to this. Now, I could also use this inside of the command, and I may try to go ahead and show you that. There is an angle function inside of the command where you can put this angle. But if I look at something and I think of anything is always sitting at a 45 degree, just set both of the numbers equal to the same thing. And to answer my first thing here is that I said I was going to show you the distance here is 15, right? Super simple for us to figure out. We know that we got 40, right? So 40 minus 20 is going to be 20. And then we take away another 5. That means that this distance here has to be 15. Okay? So that's the basic concept of any time you're dealing with these chamfers. If you know or understand that 45 just means that make the length and the width the same number, it'll be golden. That's the golden rule. So when we come across doing this one, it's going to be the exact same concept. Both of them will be set to 3. All right, let's jump back over to AutoCAD and start back drafting and finishing up just the drawing portion of this one. Okay, let's go ahead and do a few offsets here. So we're going to go to offset. We're going to offset this top line up a distance of 5. And I can kind of speed this up a little bit. And then we're going to draw another line that just goes right through the middle of here. Okay, now what I usually like to do, let's go ahead and make this line just a little bit longer just so I can use this a little bit later here in my example. Okay, so now I'm just going to use the offset command, and I know that the top distance here going across is 50. So I'll go ahead and go to offset, type in half of that 50, which is going to be 25. Select this line here, click here, and select here and click here, right? Let's go ahead and escape out of this command, and then we're going to use the trim command. And we'll go to trim. This middle line here, I'm just going to trim off here. Do the exact same thing. So you see I'm starting here at the bottom just so I don't have to come back and erase these later. And then we can go ahead and leave this middle line here. That's actually irrelevant for right now, but we're going to leave it there. So I'm going to escape out of here, and then we're going to take a look at the chamfer command again. And then we're going to go to distance, but we can use the angle one as well. So if I go to angle, all we're doing is reading the command line. It says, give me the chamfer length of the first line. That number is going to be, in this case, it'll be 3. And then it says, give me the angle from the distance of the next line, right? So if I type in 45 here and go ahead and hit enter, and then I'm going to say that I have multiple. So once I do here and come to here and here, it's going to give me the exact same thing. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here and just check this distance for you, just to show you. So when I go to distance, and I'm just using the type in command for it, but it's just DLI, and I show you here that that distance is still going to be set to 3 going from that, as opposed to giving you an angle that is here, right? So that 3 does not mean this. Just keep that in mind, is that 3 means that it's going here to here. All right, let's go ahead and erase this. Then let's zoom back out. All right, next let's go ahead and put those circles that are located here. So I'm going to use a circle with a radius of 5, right? So we'll go ahead and use the circle center radius. I'll go ahead and click here. Then I'll type in 5. Let's go ahead and trim off these portions here. So just use the trim command. Get rid of this in the middle, and then that part as well. Now you can see that I'm kind of purposely leaving this side off right now, because I'm just going to go ahead and finish this side, and then I'm going to use this line here to mirror this across. Let's go ahead and offset this line down a distance of 10. So let's go to offset, type in 10, hit enter. Go back to the offset, so I'm going to hit the escape button, give it a distance of 15. This is going to be the center. Now at the bottom we have a distance of 6, and at the top we have a distance of 12. So we're going to use an offset, type in 3, enter. We're just going to do this line going that way 3, this line going this way 3, escape, back to the offset command, and then we're going to do half of our 12, which is going to be 6. Then I'm going to offset here, this side, and then here to this side. All right, let's escape out of here. Now I'm going to use the trim command, but keep in mind that if you're in the trim command, you're also in the extend command. And likewise, if you're in the extend command, you're also in the trim command. But I'll go ahead and use the trim command. I'm going to hold down the shift button, and I'm just going to extend these 2 outside lines. Then I'll let go of the extend button, and then I'm going to trim off this portion and this portion, right? Likewise here at the top, I'm just going to trim off these two lines here, trim here and here, and then I'll hit escape, right? Let's go ahead and delete this from here. Zoom out, take a look at all of this. Let's delete this extra line here. And then we're going to mirror these two objects across, right? So we'll use the mirror command. Just going to use a window to go around here. Select that circle, hit enter. Go from that endpoint to that endpoint, enter. So now we have both of these, okay? Next, I need to put my circle that's located here. So I'll go to circle, center radius. I want you to touch this midpoint. And then watch what I do with my cursor. I'm going to make sure I move it to the outside, try not to touch anything else. And then when I come up here to the top, I should get green tracking lines from that midpoint. I'll type in the distance up from that, which is going to be 20. And then I'll type in the radius of this, which will be 12. All right, let's go ahead and offset this line to both sides, a distance of 5. So I'll go to offset, type in 5, enter. Go ahead and select going that way and one going this way. Zoom out and go ahead now and get rid of this line here. And then we can start trimming, right? So back to the trim command, and I'm going to start working my way here at the top. So I'm just going to do one left click, go across here. One left click, go across here. Left click going across to here. One going there, in between here. And then finally, one left click and go up to here. Let's go ahead and trim these two off here as well. So we got that done. And then if I hit escape, you can see now that the drafting portion of this is done. So the next thing we're ready to do is go ahead and put a title block on it. So what I would recommend now is that I did make a video over discussing scale factors and things of that nature. And I would try to remember to link it here at the end of the screen and probably leave a card up here at the top right of your screen, just so if you want to refer back to that video where I discuss things that deal with the scale factors. All right, so let's just make a quick rough title block, and all I'm going to do is go with a rectangle, right? So let's go with a rectangle. Let's type in 0, 0, enter, 11, 8.5. And if you refer back to that video, I do tell you what size paper this is. And for those of you who are wondering, it is an A-size piece of paper. Let's go ahead and use the offset command. Let's give it a distance of, let's say 0.25, enter. Let's go here and make sure you offset to the inside. Go ahead and select both of these. Hit the create button. I'm just going to make it a title block, and remember that this is a really rough title block, but we do have to figure out the scale factor in order to get the dimensions to happen. Hopefully you saw that. I know I did that really fast. Let me go ahead and bring that dialog box back open just to explain to you a couple of different concepts of what's happening. Make sure you give it a name. The lower left corner is at 0, 0. I always tell it to go ahead and convert to a block, and you'll see that I do have these two checked. This one will allow me to only have to change one number, and all this scales up together. And then do I want to allow this to be exploded? And I leave that on and go yes for this case. All right. You would hit OK. I'm just going to hit the cancel button. This is now a title block. The benefit of it being this is so I can manipulate it and figure out the scale factor really easy, right? So if I select and do a right click on here and go to properties, when I come over here inside of my properties window, I'm looking for scale X. I'll type in 16 and hit enter. Let's go ahead and escape out of this, zoom out. And then what I'm going to do is move my drawing around on the inside of this, right? So let's go to move. Let's put a window around here. So I'm just going to do one click here to here, enter. Just going to drag this to the inside, and this is where I will turn my ortho off just to be on the inside of this. And then let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. So now we know that our scale factor is 16. From this point, you're going to have to determine what method you want to use. Now, if you're using paper space, you don't have to put this border around this. Your title block will be sitting out in the layout tab. But if you're going to use the standard or annotation method, you can go ahead and set that now, right? So if we're using annotation, I'll go ahead and leave that as a kind of test for you guys. If you can figure out, and once again, that was in that video that we did, which one of these is actually set to 16, right? All right, so I'll leave that test for you to figure out. But one of these on here is set to 16, or you can go ahead and choose the obvious and easy one of 1 to 16 here at the top. But what I'm looking for is, can you tell me which one of these here is equal to 16? But anyway, I'm going to use the standard method of doing this, which means I'm going to input everything manually. All right, so the first thing I do is, since I have my scale factor, I'm just going to type in LTS, hit enter, and then type in 16. All I did was adjust my center lines and center marks and hidden lines and all that stuff so the line types will show up. I'm going to zoom into here, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my center lines on here. So I'm just going to jump over here to the annotation tab. Now normally I would make some layers and other things of that nature, but I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to leave that stuff out. I'm just going to type in center EXE for the extension, and then I'm going to give this an extension of, let's call it 3. And then we're going to use the center mark command now. So I should be able to go to center mark, go ahead and hit here, just hit the enter button. I'm going to put one here, and I'm just going to put one here. Let's go ahead and zoom into these. Now you see that these are running across. What I want you to do is select this center mark, select the square, and place that square right here on top of that square, and likewise on this one. The escape button twice. I'm going to go over to the other side and do the exact same thing. So I'm just going to select here, click the square grip, and place it here in the middle. Square grip, place it there in the middle, escape twice, zoom out. Let's go ahead and put some center marks on here. So I'll go to the, center lines. I'll go here. Just going to select these 2 lines at the top, hit the enter button just to repeat the last command, and go to here. With these, I'm going to select this line, grab this square here, and place it here, and do the exact same thing on the other side. Now once again, I could have mirrored these as well. So if you only wanted to do this once, you could have did it and just used the mirror command and mirrored them over. But sometimes it's good to practice on all of this stuff. All right, so all of this is set up. Now we're ready to put the dimensions on, right? We're going to be kind of quick about putting the dimensions on these, as most of them are going to be linear dimensions. So I'll go ahead and put all these linear dimensions on here. I'm not going to really explain it. They're self-explanatory if you ever seen or did any kind of linear dimensions. But let's go ahead and set the dimension style. I'm just going to select that little arrow there. Remember, we're using the standard method. Let's go to modify. Start over here to the primary units tab. I'm just going to turn off the trailing zeros here. Go underneath fit. This is the number that I want to adjust to my scale factor, so I'll type in 16 here. On my text height, I will be using the standard text height, which is 0.125. Underneath the symbols and arrows, we went ahead and put our center marks on here, so we can go ahead and set this to none. And then finally, underneath our lines, I'm going to go ahead and adjust just this extension here to 0.125. Go ahead and hit the OK button, and then close. Okay, now my dimensions are set up. And like I said, I'm not going to really kind of explain through all these dimensions. So I'll just do the linear and you can just follow along. So all I'm just going to do is just start clicking. And this is, once again, is super self-explanatory. If there's something that I need to show you, I will definitely, tell you exactly what I'm doing. Or if you do have any questions on exactly how did I do one of these dimensions that you're seeing me do, by all means, let me know. One of the more important things I want you to get from this is making sure that I'm clicking on the right location. You'll see that I'm trying to click these endpoints, right? So all I'm doing is when I'm doing these, I want to make sure I click endpoints. And then you can also look in the order of how I'm selecting some of these. And once again, when I get to one that's going to kick to the outside, I will let you know about that one. But other than that, I'm just going to keep putting these dimensions on here. Let's zoom out a little bit more here. And you can see that linear dimensions are super duper easy. And I'm not using the baseline and the continuance. All right, so here's our first one that could be a potential to throw that 5 to the outside. So when I do a linear dimension, I always want to select here first, and then the last point will be on the side that I want that to kick out. Luckily for us, it didn't go anywhere, right? Now that shouldn't be the case for all of them, but we shall see. All right, let's keep going with our linear dimensions here. And please, if you're getting anything out of this, or if this is your first time coming to my channel, please consider subscribing. I, try to get through about 2 to 3 videos a week. And if you do have something that you want to see me do, by all means, leave me a comment or drop me a message or something of that nature. I'm really good at kind of explaining some of these concepts of AutoCAD, not necessarily all the different disciplines that there are, so if there's something that you want to see me do in particular, or maybe explain a command or something along that line, yeah, I am more than willing to either make a separate video or bring it up in one of my future videos that I'm going to do. All right, here's one of them that I know that the 10 is going to kick here to the outside. So when I go to place my linear dimension, I'm going to tell that 10 that I want it to be here on the right side. So therefore, I'm going to click here first, and then here second. And then you're going to see that 10 is going to come out here to the right side. All right. Let's see. We just have a couple of more linear dimensions here that I'm placing onto this drawing. And I'm just copying this just to make it look as much like the example drawing that we have. All right. A couple of more linear dimensions. And we are almost done with here. I know this seems like a lot of clicking, but believe it or not, most of the time what you're going to do, that if you're in the drafting profession, the drawing actually does not take that long. It's actually doing the dimensioning part that will take you the longest. Okay, so from here you see that I'm actually doing these dimensions and kind of dragging them out because I know that I need to give them some space. Let's go ahead and put these couple of more dimensions on here. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my properties window here in a second. I don't need to have that showing. Okay. All right, and I'm going to take a look around here. Next, I'll go ahead and do my radius dimensions. Those are going to be super self-explanatory here as well. It's just a radius dimension. Click on the circle that you want to put the radius dimension on, and then click a location. Right? Super duper easy and simple. Okay. Now the rest of this stuff I can go ahead and put 2 places and things of that nature on. I'll go ahead and show you that as well. But what I wanted to really show you here is using quick leaders, right? So I don't think we use these, sorry, not quick leader, multi-leaders. I don't think we use multi-leaders much, but I will show you how to set one up here in this video. So here's my leader command, right? But I'm just going to go and edit the style of a multi-leader. I'll click here. Once again, we're going to be using the standard method. Let's go ahead and hit the modify button. I'm going to start here at the front tab, right? So all of this stuff should typically match what you have there in your dimensioning style. So there's the size of my arrowhead, the leader break, and things of that nature. Let's go ahead and take a look at the leader structure here. So this is the scale. So remember that this scale factor must match what my scale factor is in my drawing, which is what I'm doing here because I'm using the standard method. Another thing is that I might want to shorten up this landing here, which is that location here. So I'm just going to make this a little bit shorter. And then you're going to see that just a little bit shorter. Then let's go to content. Then we're going to make the height of this 0.125. And that should be everything that I need to go ahead and adjust here in my quick leader. And I keep calling it quick leader. I'm so sorry, multi-leader. Let's go ahead and hit the OK button and then hit close. So now I want to go ahead and put a chamfer dimension here. I'll go ahead and use the quick leader. I'm gonna do that probably 3 more times here in this video. Multi-leader. And let me go ahead and do one other thing I forgot to take a look at. Let's go back to here and modify, and let's see if I do have that option here. Leader. Trying to see if I could set this at an angle, and if I can't, then I can show you that. Okay, there we go. So the first segment, I want these angles to be equal to 45. Let's go ahead and hit OK and close on that. So meaning that when I go ahead and use this multi-leader and I click this midpoint here, it's only going to give me 45 degrees. So that's going to help keep my drawing looking really clean, because that your chamfer dimension should be kind of perpendicular to the line that it's going to. All right, so I'm going to click here. And this is where you're going to have to remember some of those things that we talked about before, like 5. I'll go ahead and put the X, 45. And remember with the percent D, it's going to give me the degree symbol. I'll go ahead and hit chamfer. Hit enter one more time and just tell it that it is in 2 places, right? All right, go ahead and hit close. And you can see I have that chamfer sitting there. Let's go ahead and do the one that's sitting at 3. I'm going to go back to the multi-leader. I'll go here. Now, if any of this stuff is in the way, I will adjust this, right? So I'm going to click here. I'll type in my 3, 45, percent D, enter, chamfer, enter, and then I'll tell it 2 places, right? Okay. Really easy for us. You can see that this is actually running through my 15. So I can go ahead and move this down a little bit just to keep that clear. And then the rest of these are just putting 2 places at the end of them. Easiest way of doing that, we can either double click on them. You're going to have to give it a second. It'll open up. Go to the end of it, hit enter, and go and type in 2 places. Now, really self-explanatory on this. I don't think I need to explain this more than once, but all right. And I think I have one more place where this applies to this number here. Okay. All right, and that looks like everything that you're going to need to complete this drawing. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed watching me create this. If you got any comments, or maybe I didn't do anything, I did something incorrectly, or something that you may not understand, please let me know. Leave it down below in the comments or things of that nature. And once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming back and looking at this, and as I really do appreciate it. And until the next video, thank you.